All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. The Guys with Beards podcast. On line number 2. I'm Sean.
I'm Alex.
I'm David.
I'm Jacob.
I'm last, but I'm Kyle.
You sounded so excited that your name was David.
Are we just gonna ignore Kyle? I'm last.
It's okay. What's going on? Technically, this is our 1 year anniversary, or it was our 1 year anniversary. Our last podcast. So make sure you check that out if you haven't. But we're here to talk about is something that's very relevant. Something that's coming up for a vote, which I think we could do something pretty interesting here with that. As we're going to be talking about the Game of the Year nominations for 2020, which I recommend all of the people in this chat right now go to thegameawards.com because you can cast your vote. I think it'd be cool if we did it on the podcast. Yeah.
Or we could we could do something in the Discord as well. Like we
That's
can
true.
do a little vote in the Discord.
But I think we should start with the games that have been nominated for this year. Actually a pretty wide array as far as like categories and different styles of gaming go. So first up we have Doom Eternal. Solid game. I think it's definitely the best FPS of the year. There's that without a doubt. But is it Game of the Year quality? We'll have to see. Next up is Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I have my thoughts on that, good and bad. Next up we have
later.
Yeah, that's the mixed bag, biggest mixed bag of this bunch. Next is Ghost of Tsushima, Sucker Punch's new hit title, which has been taking the PS systems by storm. And I hope it gets released on other consoles at some point because it's amazing. And then next is probably, I think it's probably everybody's at least like biggest choice right now because it's like it kind of skyrocketed recently up into the media, which is Hades. Huge title, great game. It's a roguelike, and I think it's probably one of the best of its bunch in a while. Then we have Animal Crossing New Horizons, which released very early on in this year, which there is a definite argument for. And last but not least, The Last of Us Part 2, probably the most divisive out of all these choices. Just on release, it had a lot of controversy with it.
So I do want to say something about Doom Eternal. I think, and it kind of goes hand in hand with Animal Crossing. It was when both those games came out, it was such a troubling time, and the cross promotion for each other was so beautiful.
They were a little bit linked and still are, honestly.
And it was a great time in gaming that like two different games were like, oh, let's promote the other, and it had two different like purposes.
It was more of like the fan bases kind of mingled than anything.
Yeah.
And that's when memes of Isabel going into Doom World and blasting some demons came around, and I was like, oh, I could kind of get with that.
Yeah, and then Doom Guy was in the
legitimate
Animal
music
Crossing
video
world.
for it.
Yeah,
if we're going down the list talking about these games and Doom Eternal up, like I gotta say, like I know Final Fantasy VII's in this, but like when it comes down to sound design and soundtrack, Doom Eternal fucking takes the cake, dude. Yeah. In terms of like personifying your game and putting you in the experience, like Doom Eternal, like flying colors, like holy shit.
But the
like they went in.
The Final Fantasy VII Remake soundtrack though, and the Ghost of Tsushima soundtrack are like just wonderful.
So like, I think before we analyze
like the amount of creative effort they put into Doom Eternal and making the soundtrack was fucking phenomenal. Like goddamn.
I mean, it did bring together some of the like most modern like metal and like grunge artists together to like record that track, which is amazing. I think it's like 40 plus artists or something like that from the video I was looking at. But I think what we should cover before we get into the individual analyzation of each game is what makes a game deserving of nomination for Game of the Year. And I was like doing some research and whatnot. And I think it came across a pretty good article that really summarizes that. Whenever you play a game that's been nominated for Game of the Year, and I felt like this with all these games except for one, perhaps, is they have a spark that makes them unique. That makes them feel like before it even gets nominated for Game of the Year, you can say probably by yourself, I could see this getting Game of the Year. I said that back when I played Animal Crossing initially. Same thing with Doom. As they both have their own aesthetics going for them that are unique, that aren't captured anywhere else across the gaming sphere. So more or less.
I I think Animal Crossing on that topic too. Animal Crossing came out at the perfect time. I mean,
did.
literally,
It absolutely did.
we went to lockdown. Animal Crossing came out. Literally, everyone was playing it.
Yep.
Everybody. I mean, hell, everyone here was playing it. Like it was ridiculous. So,
Although, I mean, maybe I'm the only one, but I'm like the only one that played Animal Crossing New Horizon and was like, I think this is kind of an overrated game. I think it's kind of like extremely underwhelming, and I'm not the biggest fan of it. And it's
I see
definitely
what
not getting my vote, but that's just
I see
me.
what you mean. But at the same time, I feel like when the game came out, and specifically where the country was in this Corona, shit,
Bullshit.
like it was like a huge escape for like everybody. I think
Yeah,
it came
no,
out
no
at the
doubt.
Oh,
perfect time.
I know
Which is
for
why-
sure.
which I think is partly why it's been nominated, because of literally just like what it's done for people throughout this whole thing.
Yeah, I think it's
100%.
definitely saved lives. I'm
Yeah.
positive on that. No, I'm
And-
totally serious.
I mean, I'm coming from a pretty fresh perspective on Animal Crossing. Like I've watched David play it in the past, but I've never owned an Animal Crossing game
Yeah,
outside of
same
New
as me.
Horizons. And so like I got on that grind, and I was like, ooh, making me an island. Ooh, recruiting new
Yeah.
villagers. Like, ooh,
Out of
like,
all-
and then
Out
kinda
of
burned
all
out.
the games on the list, Animal Crossing is the one I've played the most, and I haven't even played as much as you guys. And like
Same.
Well,
that just
I think in the
shows,
grand
like,
scheme of things, you probably have the most
time
expertise on Animal Crossing.
and the thing is about Animal Crossing games, and to go with Sean's point, actually, why I don't think it belongs to, or I don't think it should be the game of the year, is that it's one of those games that it's been done before, right? It's been done in the
David, do you want
It's been
to
a long
go
time.
back to where you were?
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
so
sorry.
I was saying I don't think Animal
talking about Animal Crossing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think Animal Crossing deserves Game of the Year because it is very similar to the past Animal Crossings. Yes, there's a lot of great changes, and it was a very important game
Yeah.
when it came out. However, it's not relevant right now. Like, I know people that still play the game, but that's the thing about Animal Crossing that not a lot of people talk about, is that the game dies. The game
Yeah.
dies for a bit, right? You play it for a good 2 months, maybe a month and a half, and then you don't touch it for the next 7 or 8 months. And then once you're really bored, you get back into it. And that's what Animal
Yeah.
Crossing is. It's not this huge game that deserves a giant award, even though there's a lot of people that work their asses off for it. They know what kind of game they're making, and it's not something that pushes the boundaries of gaming like some of the others on this list.
Well,
So
I
It's,
would.
the problem with it, like what a ton of people had with it, and what I personally had a problem with it, is that like it's after a while, like the sort of built-in interactiveness just isn't there anymore. There's a lot of things that you wish were there that weren't, and it ends up just being the same. Like it's very monotonous after a certain point, which is somehow the point of the game. You take care of your
Exactly.
island over the course of the year. You see how the island changes, how the weather changes, how all the different things come out as the seasons change, progress. But like I can't deny that we're like kind of living in a gaming age where we need something a little more fast paced, a little more something to keep us in.
Yeah. That's an important aspect, I feel, of games that get nominated for Game of the Year is longevity and replayability. And I think that's at least for me, that's a pretty large criteria, which is why for me on this list there are only really 2 choices. But we'll get into that a little bit
thing
later.
is,
But that is a problem I have with Animal Crossing, is that like it's not engaging
I got a
for a super long time.
I got a problem with that, the longevity thing. I played Ghost of Tsushima for maybe a month max.
Mhm.
And I don't think I'll be picking it up, but it still left a big enough impact on me that I'm willing to consider it for Game of the Year.
I'm not gonna lie, I still play it. I still legitimately hop in and wander around in it.
Like
I just enjoy it that much.
I don't think longevity is like important, because
I think it's a factor.
sure, but for me it's like Fortnite. You can play that for hours and hours. That doesn't mean it's Game of the Year material.
But that's
Well, absolutely not. Fortnite doesn't have that
that's
spark.
like a
in my opinion.
round-based gameplay. Like you go in for a round for a match or two. Like it's not like Animal Crossing. You don't go in for a match at Animal Crossing.
Yeah,
It's
and I
ki-
mean,
it's kind of similar with like Breath of the Wild, another game of the year, right?
Yeah.
Where Breath of the Wild came out, and you put so much time and effort into like one playthrough, you don't really go for a second playthrough. At least
Yeah.
I didn't. I don't know if you guys did.
No.
I think the I think the replayability came out when the DLC came out and harder modes came out.
Yes, yeah.
Like I returned to it this year to work on some of the DLC even.
And a lot of people
just because I
consider
hadn't done it yet, and it's still fun, it's still good.
a
you
lot
know?
of
That's
people
extra money, though.
consider the what's it called?
I already had it.
The
so-
master mode the most difficult game on the Switch for Breath of the Wild. Some people absolutely
It's
like.
hard.
Yeah,
It's like really hard.
like harder than Dark Souls remastered, kind of hard.
Wow.
and Dark Souls isn't hard.
I don't
yeah.
think we can consider DLC adding to replayability since it's money.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it's not
But-
with the game when it releases.
And-
In my book, if you play a game for a month, that's like, wow, like that's a amazing game if you can play it for a month straight.
Oh,
That's
Animal
just me,
Crossing.
though.
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, this is gonna be really controversial, and I'm definitely the only person who is this. But I played Animal Crossing and I wanted my money back. Like I legit did not have fun with it.
But
you
did you
did
grow
have
up
fun.
with Animal
You-
Crossing though?
No,
Bro, do you
No,
remember
I
our
do.
hide
So
and
that's-
seek adventure? Do you remember that?
it,
That was fun.
I mean,
that was fun.
I would have like you could have the same amount of fun just playing that in Among Us. Like it's
I
not
guess
like
it's true.
it's hide and seek is fun.
Um,
But it
That's
was
not a part of
Animal
Animal
Crossing, and it was a new world that we haven't explored. So, and I understand
know.
about that is a good argument where you could do that in other games.
Like, this is just me. That's like my personal opinion. I know everyone on the internet probably disagrees with it.
I think a really important factor that as I'm looking at this list is absolutely a trend is most Game of the Year winners are single player games. Outside of the fact, the one exception, which is Overwatch, which was in 2016, but every other Game of the Year has been a single player game.
What an era.
And so I don't think that multiplayer games have a large place on this list because a lot of those games that have that spark are a game that you're like playing by yourself. It's like a real aesthetic, the soundtrack's hitting at that right moment. You're doing like something really, really out there, something like, say, for instance, I don't know, fucking Doom Eternal, like Alex mentioned, it's got that banging soundtrack. And when you're in the middle of it, it speeds up a little bit and you're blasting demons' faces off. And you're like, I'm a metal singer, like right now, brother. And it's like, I don't know. It's really hype.
One thing
You get super excited.
One thing about Doom Eternal is that Doom, like, I tried playing Doom and I just couldn't get into it. It was just
It's a pretty heavy game.
It was just so weird and like it felt like a first person shooter, but it just didn't.
It's a very unique type of
But
first
Doom
person
Eternal
shooter.
added some challenge and some like changes to life qualities for the sequel. And
I think it defines the modern
that's
FPS. in my
honestly
opinion.
like what developers need to do with their games is like keep it the same, but add little tweaks that just like make it a different game entirely. Like even though it is the same core mechanics, they still added a lot of things that made it harder, right?
Yeah.
Where it still
Yeah.
feels like a different game, but you're still using the same mechanics, right?
It's a great sequel.
Yeah, I think it's a great game as well. But again, I don't think it has too much of an impact on the gaming world as a couple of other games on here.
Yeah.
So,
outside of having a anti-cheat software that takes all your data.
I think what it's about, like kind of adding on what Kyle said, like the reason why most of the Game of Years are single player games is because I think it's all immersion at that point.
Yeah.
Like how well
100%.
does a game like impose its aesthetic on you? Like
I agree.
how well does
100%.
it make you sink into it? Ghost of Tsushima, like holy crap. Like you could get lost in the game for hours. I can tell. I watched Kyle get lost in that game for hours. It's insane. And I feel like Doom Eternal, if it's what you're looking for, it has the same effect on people. And like just because it doesn't have that effect on the people here doesn't mean that it's not other people's Game of the Year. And there's definitely a reason why it was nominated.
Yeah, it's like the last 3 years winners: Sekiro, God of War, Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. All, when you think about them, are all games you can imagine being
God
in, as soon as
damn.
you imagine
and then
it.
2015 was Witcher, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Before that was Dragon Age Inquisition, and then Grand Theft Auto V or 5.
Inquisition?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Yep, Inquisition.
Yeah.
Which is a weird
That was a
choice,
good-
but it did win. It did, in fact, win in 2014.
What
I'd
games
like
came out in
Inquisition.
2014?
2014 was kind of a weak year for gaming, though, in my opinion.
I'm gonna
So
look
there
at
weren't
it.
too
What
many
did it
strong
have?
choices.
I'm looking at it right now.
But I do agree that like you need to be able to like imagine the aesthetic of a game that is like nominated for this stuff. Like it immediately comes to the top of your head when I think of God of War. I think of the Kratos and boy,
Yeah.
like that. Like that's the top two
Boy.
things that come to my head. It's like yeah, like God of War, hell yeah, man, like ultimate hack and slash game.
Yeah, and with
100%
all
thumbs
these
up to me.
games, you can just picture like being there. You know,
Yeah.
like even Animal Crossing, like you hear the weird whistling in the background. You know,
Like
like
it
digging up
paints an
some
aesthetic
potholes,
that
like,
you can always imagine.
Okay, dude, 2014 was a underwhelming year for gaming. We
Yeah.
have Dragon Age Inquisition, Bayonetta 2,
Bayonetta 2 is a
Dark
good
Souls
game.
2, Hearthstone. Hearthstone was on the game of the year, and Middle Earth: Shadow of Mordor.
Oh,
I did like Middle Earth, but it was weak story wise, super weak.
Yeah.
oh,
I mean, these aren't bad
Dark
games.
Souls 2.
Kind of underwhelming.
Yeah, that's not a game we talk about.
So we're talking about after this though. Let's move on to like the other different categories, like best game direction, narrative, art direction, music.
I think we
other
should just go over
combinations.
each game and discover
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
like
Doom
talk about
Eternal,
each
we got
aspect
Animal
of
Crossing.
each game.
There's some like games though that like for example best narrative we have like 13 Sentinels in that category, or like best art direction Ori's in there, and like Doom is knocked off.
Well, I'm primarily talking about
Game of the
like
Years.
the Game Awards, because there's a million Game Awards out there. There's like the
this is
Czech
the
Game Awards,
like
Game
you're
Developers
looking at
Choice.
you're looking at the gameawards.com, right?
Yeah.
If you scroll
Yeah.
down, it just gives
Yeah.
you all the other categories.
There's definitely
Well, that will give us a better like concept of games that have like amazing features that maybe should have been game of the year,
Yeah.
right? So this the main idea of this podcast is to talk about what is the game of the year, like what
for
do
sure.
we feel about it. So
Out of these nominations.
I would just like to cover some of the other categories too.
Well, of course,
we have
like
time.
I said, we can do the part where we have bring up what game we thought should have gotten the nomination. But I do want to cover the main titles because I feel like that's what's on people's mind is is their game gonna win Game Awards?
it's the best picture of video games.
Yeah, it kind of basically, yeah. I think there's one of these we can absolutely knock out immediately, which in my head is Final Fantasy VII Remake. Played the whole thing. Sean played the whole thing. It is a mixed bag. Nomura, you son of a bitch. You did it to Kingdom Hearts 3 and you did it to 7 Remake, man. Freaking wrote his ghosts in.
I don't think I can let you knock it off just yet, buddy.
By all
I'm
means.
afraid I can't let you do that, Star Fox.
What's your reasoning?
Final Fantasy VII Remake, I'm still thinking about it to this day. I don't know how I feel about the changes they made, but the parts that were good in that game were like amazing.
The problem is that's the parts, not the whole thing. It's soured extremely in the middle by a slow slogging section during the train station that takes too long. That is not plot relevant whatsoever.
I like the train set.
Aerith gets taken by a ghost who really likes her, but in the end, you have to kill him. Like,
right, there's a
what?
lot of stupid parts, but I don't think I can like let you just knock it off the list yet.
Dude, I think it's got too many faults to be game of the year. Writing, like, what really captures me for a game of the year half the time is the story. Like I have to like the characters. I need to like it. Needs to be consistent. And while I love the characters in 7, it is not consistent, dude. Like literally, the plot gets pushed along by literal ghosts saying, "You can't go there yet. Don't do that, Cloud, Bubula, stop it." Fucking like, come on, dude. Like they changed. It's not that they changed so much. It's that it's making any goddamn sense. They don't even. They explain it as like it's a parallel universe timeline where Clouds may be alive, but we're not going to tell you that until part 2, where we bring the ghost back for another Scooby-Doo adventure. Like, come on, dude. That soured the experience so much for me. It brought me out of the immersion that I was really, really invested in, with an interesting combat system, a really, really interesting take on what Final Fantasy VII's original combat was. I love the combat system. I think it's fun. I would play that for hours. But it has too many grindy bits with like walking underneath the city, where you have to move the dumb hand puzzle. I hate that.
I will admit,
yeah,
I only played the demo because Kyle made me play it when it came out.
Yep.
And like the only reason why I didn't play Final Fantasy is because like it's really hard to get me into turn-based combat, and he was like,
sure.
"You don't have to," and I was like, "What?"
So
I tried it, and like combat's fucking
yeah,
awesome.
combat's great. It's amazing.
It's juicy, feels good, and
the main characters are fine.
You know?
Yeah, but when they introduce the side characters, Jesse and everyone who in the original game, yeah, I like that actually. I'm a huge fan of the anime
Yeah.
fan service in this game.
Not
But
everyone is though. Not
oh
everyone
yeah,
is an
definitely,
anime
definitely
fan.
not. The problem is I think the game's too divisive. You know, there's the people that are going like who love Nomura for some reason. I can't figure that out. But it really is just like the writing is so off-putting. Like when someone's when someone's dying in front of Cloud, he says, "Hey, you still owe me pizza." Like, what?
Well,
I
I
was
get
like,
it.
"Come
I
on,
get it.
man! It's supposed to be a serious."
That's
moment."
relatable content. I don't know what you're talking about.
Game of the year, missing pizza acquired. Come on.
I don't know.
One thing
Well,
I will
what's
say,
your argument for it?
Yeah, no, before we go into Sean's opinion, one thing I want to say about Final Fantasy VII, that the music, Square Enix fucking slaps.
Yeah,
They
hell
do
yeah, it
not
does.
fuck around with that music.
It's magical.
Like even Kingdom Hearts, just
It's-
like all
yeah.
the music that is out of Square Enix is just banger
slaps.
after banger after banger.
If we're
Yeah,
judging
it's-
it just off the soundtrack, then my opinion would be
It
completely
is also
different.
nominated for best score in music in a game
Yep.
too.
Hell
So,
yeah, it should be.
That's my
Yeah.
only thing about I have to say
Yeah.
about this. Take it
No,
away,
dude,
Kenny.
As soon as I got into that title screen, man, I was like, oh, Final Fantasy. Like when I heard the remastered stuff in the demo, I was like, that's what sold me. I was like, this game's getting it, bro.
The music is
I'm
just
putting in the
phenomenal.
hours.
One
Music's-
thing I can say about Final Fantasy VII is I'm looking at the Game Awards Best Performance, like acting performance category, and it's not in there.
Yeah, hell no, it's not.
I know my I don't know. It's that maybe we'll talk about that later, but that's a hard game to pick.
Yeah.
I find it. I just a quick side note. I find it funny that for the best ongoing, they're almost all multiplayer games.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
well,
mean that's pretty
yeah.
much that's longevity in a nutshell, right there. Multiplayer games are always the longest lasting.
No Man's Sky is in there. Holy crap!
That just actually got a huge update,
Yeah.
which I'm interested to try at some
It's
point.
No Man's Sky, like devs have been like on it, like over the past year to keep updating it with everything that should have been out in the first place. Yes,
Say, if only the
but
game had released like that, it probably would have gotten.
are we
more
all in
titles.
agreement?
I do respect and commend them for sticking to it how they have,
Yeah,
and
No, definitely not.
being
A lot
able
of
to
companies
bring
don't
the
do
amount
that.
of people back into it the way they have been.
For best indie, are we saying it's Hades?
Yeah, without a doubt, that's my 100%, 100,000%
Also-
choice is
also,
Hades.
Fall Guys is in there.
No,
Hades,
it's Hades for me.
Hades.
It's Hades
yeah,
for me.
I know. I'm just saying.
And that's where it gets tough for me because, like I said earlier, I have two choices that stick out to me here, and that's Ghost of Tsushima and that's Hades. I honestly can't pick, like,
Yeah,
legitimately.
Well,
if I were to go for it, Dave.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Jake. Go ahead.
Well, because I didn't play Hades or Ghost of Tsushima. Say it for one more time.
Tsushima, Ghost of Tsushima.
Tsushima. Okay, I don't want to mess.
What,
it
you're
up.
not a fucking weeb? What?
I'm just saying. When I was
studied
watching
the samurai arts.
when I was actually watching you play, Kyle, I saw you get way more into Ghost of Tsushima than Hades. Like, I mean, I know you loved Hades as well, but like, it was like the whole like tunnel vision of that game.
Yeah.
You were totally into it. Like, again, the immersion of it was so much like in there. I think Hades is really, really cool. I actually kind of want to play it a little bit because like when you were playing, I'm like, oh, this looks kind of sweet, man.
Yeah.
Kind of dig it. But like, I think, and especially like if we're talking about cutting edge shit, like Ghost of Tsushima, like I think Game of the Year.
Well, okay. I know we're jumping around with those two games, but I want to go to Last of Us.
I was
I was gonna say So what with the thing with Final Fantasy and Last of Us is that they're both divisive. They're
Yes, they
very,
are.
very like there's two sides of the coin, right? That with those games, it is very, very significant.
I'd say probably Last of Us a little bit more so than Final Fantasy, just because of the media coverage it got.
Yeah, I think it's it's how I would relate it is the Last Jedi of gaming.
The
I don't
Last of
think
Us
so.
Part Jedi.
I don't think so.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Hold
Here we
on.
go.
We're not turning this into a Star Wars podcast. So stop-
No, I know, but I'm
stop
just
right
saying.
now.
But
Stop.
the reception of the Last Jedi was weirder
Murky.
than any other movie because it was like, oh, we want this movie deleted. Because
can see the analogy
and then
you're
it's
making.
kind of like The Last of Us Part 2, where they're like, oh, spoiler alert, Joel dies, and they want to delete it because they got their favorite character got.
Yeah.
That was way too close to spoiler alert. You
That's
gotta say
fine, I'll put
spoiler alert
something
and
on it.
give him a
It's
second.
fine. It's the game of the year.
I mean, come on. I think there's literally probably about 10% of people at most that don't know that already.
I didn't
that was
know
leaked
that.
before the game came out.
I didn't know that, man. You just ruined the whole game for me.
Congratulations.
No, you absolutely knew that. I've told you
did
several
not.
times.
Like,
I don't
I
remember
don't know
that.
what it is, but like everything Last of Us related, I noticed like gaming, media, and news companies love covering. Like
Yep.
anything Last of Us comes out, they're on it. Like
it's okay. So the problem is when you look up Last of Us 2, you're gonna get one of two things. Either Last of Us 2 is a masterclass in gaming and writing, or Last of Us 2 is a dumpster fire that didn't deserve to exist in the first place.
I thought Last of Us 1 was an overrated piece of garbage.
I disagree. I think what really made Last of Us so good was the acting of its of its main two actors. It's the aesthetic. You're not there necessarily for the enthralling gameplay, because let's be honest, it's not the most interesting gameplay of all time.
Video game,
But
not a
you
movie.
care. You legitimately care. I legitimately give a crap about the characters, Joel and Ellie.
Yeah.
You like that aesthetic. You're there to see what happens, because it's literally like I can't remember like two other gaming characters that I cared about more. Like God of War copied off of Last of Us originally. You know, like the Kratos and his son aesthetic. You know,
and both Ellie and Abby are both nominated for best performances as well.
Yeah, the performances in Last of Us is just fucking phenomenal.
The actors and actresses absolutely.
No, but I'm just saying.
so
I mean, that's a
much
big thing. Like for that category, that game made 2 spots. Like just from that one game. Like,
And
that's
to go off of Sean's comment where it's like it's a movie, like that's Naughty Dog's aesthetic. They bring like that movie vibe.
They've been doing that since Uncharted,
right? No. And I think that's that's something that hasn't really been done before. So I compliment them on that, where they can still have some of a gameplay where the story is more important.
Games.
But that's not gameplay. It's a click and choose.
There's not many other companies that can do it like that, and we've seen that. A lot of like after when Last of Us came out originally, the original one, 1,000,001 games tried to copy that aesthetic and did not work. The only game that it technically worked for is God of War, the newer one. That's because it's already God of War. Yeah, also Naughty Dog. Exactly. There's no other company really outside of Naughty Dog that can do it like they do. And I mean, honestly, I think it's kind of dying off, if we're being honest. Last of Us 2 is an indicator that maybe people are a little tired of it now. I think that originally what was really keeping Last of Us afloat was the aesthetic between Ellie and Joel. And in the second game, that's just not there. The whole message they're trying to send is like the endless cycle of violence and war, being a thing that brings down us, as people. And I get the message they're trying to send, and it makes sense. But it's not executed perfectly as is received by the fan base.
I 100% agree with Kyle. Right?
Yeah.
The first game, the meaning was so blurred. Right? Again, if spoiler alert, the end of the game is one of the best endings in gaming history. Yeah. I think. Yeah. Right? That where Joel has to choose between saving humanity or saving Ellie, and he's a
selfish guy, so it makes sense.
It makes so much sense. It completes his character, right? And then in the second game, it's you figure out from Ellie's perspective of what's happening, and that's why you grow closer, but you still grow farther apart from him. But then you still have that feeling like he was there for me. Like it's like he did a really bad thing, but he's still my father figure, and I think that makes sense for her, right? That she knows the violence that Joel has taught her, even though they loved each other. That was still a big theme is violence. And that's what the difference is between the first and second game, is that the second game, like, it's the motive is like hit you get hit on the head with the motive. With the first game, it's way more disguised.
It hits. It's kind of the opposite of what happened with Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing came out at a good time and saved a lot of people. This game came out and dealt with the subject of death, and this is around a time when COVID was really like becoming a real, and it still is a problem. Was becoming like noticed as a real threat. And people were dying, and nothing was being done about it. And I think that kind of hit on a sour note for a lot of people. It's like, wow, this is a depressing ass game. And honestly, it is. I've played through 90% of the game. It's fucking dark, man. Like I have not had to go like pause a game and go, Jesus Christ, calm the hell down.
Yeah.
Because this is so like gruesome. It feels almost a little too real sometimes. Like when you blow some dude's leg off, their friend goes, "Oh my god!" Like,
so here's my thing though.
I'm sorry.
What is how does the gameplay tell that?
So the
Because-
gameplay, it changes a little bit. I'd say it's more open world in a couple levels,
Hold on,
but I think the
I
level
wasn't
design is
asking that.
what?
I'm saying like,
Well,
what is the theme of Ghost of Tsushima? Adaptability. The gameplay perfectly implements that. Like the gameplay's so built
if you're
around
talking about
adaptability.
the message and like the theme of the game with the gameplay, then Last of Us 2 fits that perfectly. It's grimy, it's gritty, it's dark, and that's the message of the game: is war is a repetitive cycle that doesn't end. We just keep fueling it.
War
And
never
Ellie,
changes.
you'll see Ellie stab someone in the throat, and it's way more brutal than the original one, where you'll see a freaking fountain of blood come out of them in 2, and then they gurgle out, and then Ellie goes, "Yeah, you son of a bitch," and like that encapsulates the message of the game.
And
I just think that people don't like that message.
Yeah,
I think
I
that's
just
all
think
part
it's
of
not
the.
Sorry,
I'll
go ahead. I just think it's not a very deep message.
it's
That's
not.
fair.
It's not a
It's
deep
been
message.
done before
I
10
do
million
think-
times.
I do think that is definitely part of that immersion, that sort of spark that we were talking about, though.
Mhm.
Like from what I was watching Kyle play, like it's very intense, like very
Mhm.
like
Yep.
you can cut the tension with a knife.
Yeah.
And it really does put you in there.
Well,
The one thing that like each game has like its strengths, right? Animal Crossing came out at a great time. Final Fantasy has great music. Doom Eternal has blood, right? This game, even though I think Among Us, like the least important thing is graphics, and I think the graphics in this game are so good.
Yeah,
like looking at
absolutely.
the game on a 4K TV.
looks
The
phenomenal.
graphics just like blow it out of the park.
Absolutely, I totally agree. Look, the game looks great. There's absolutely zero doubt about that. It is a pretty good masterclass as far as like the super like gritty aesthetic it's trying to capture. It absolutely does that extremely well. But I think what really just sunk this game is they gave up their strongest contender, like to make it game of the year, which is, as we mentioned, the aesthetic between Joel and Ellie. That was the strongest point. I think that if Joel was kept in the game, and let's say for instance like they killed Tommy, Joel's brother, or something, and then Joel and Ellie went on that hunt, I think it would have been received 100%
But
better.
again, it's subverting expectations, and
Yeah,
that's something
absolutely.
that's becoming a cliche now, right?
little bit,
where you
yeah.
subvert the expectations.
It's like the twist at the end or the twist at the beginning.
You're going to expect a twist somewhere with these giant games, and it's like, so how can a company approach that without being so cliche about it?
Yeah, and
I mean,
but we
that's
can't
when- that's
ignore
when you
what
talk to
happened with
Doom
this marketing
Eternal.
wise. Yeah,
Like, for real, like they have the Doom formula. It's been there since like day one,
And
and
it
they haven't strayed
freaking
from
works.
it. And you can tell when you go to play this game that they're like, and Doom guy is just like, all right, Earth's all fucked up. Time to go
again.
time to go
Yeah.
fix it. Like,
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
part of the game. Like,
Yeah,
you
that
gotta,
there ain't no deep
think-
story there. It's just good old fashioned demon slaying at its
Why
best.
can't Duke Nukem get the same treatment Doom has gotten?
That's never going to come back, in my opinion. I think the Duke is done forever.
dick kick him.
Time to kick ass and
Um,
chew bubble gum.
I'm
I-
gonna
I-
chew
all
ass
out of
and eat-
gum.
I think it would be a bit it would do a disservice to The Last of Us 2 to not mention what had happened before the game release, though, which I think extremely affected how it was received. Is that somebody at the company leaked part of the script, and that's when the leaks came out that Joel dies,
yeah.
and all that stuff came out, and that's what started it. Before the game even released, where people were going, "This game sucks. This game is the worst," and it was all because Joel wasn't around. That was, if you go to every video during that time, it was, they're killing Joel. That's unforgivable, and I haven't even played the game yet. It's
Yeah.
like,
I think that's
come
part of
on,
the
like, I
stake they have
understand.
into it. Like,
gamer boys and gamer girls love their Joel. Daddy Joel is there for you in 1, and he dies in 2. And I understand, like, our goopy gamer goblin brains, don't like that. Like our boy we built up all throughout freaking.
That's Nikki Jakey,
Sorry.
right?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I was
yeah.
literally about to say, Kyle
Yeah.
just turned into Nakey Jakey for a second.
It's a good goddamn phrase.
Yeah.
It encapsulates it. You can't tell me those Dorito eating, dew drinking MFers came out on YouTube and went, "Last of Us too bad. Last of Us too bad." Like, come on, dude.
I
Like,
think it's
Give it a
unfair. Like, it's unfair. One, in the first place that it got leaked, and 2, it's definitely unfair to like if you look at said leaked plot point and it's one thing and it's one thing
Yeah.
that you don't like how can you just assume without any other context that like game bad, not good, not gonna play. 0 out
Yeah,
of 10.
exactly. That's such a freaking like mud in the face to the developers, the people who are working
Like, what?
super hard on that game. That's just like if it's bad when it comes out, slam the shit out of it. Sure, but before it releases, that is not okay.
Well,
That's just like
Right.
disservicing everyone's work.
to the people here, before I think we should move on.
Yeah, definitely.
Do we
I would
think
also bring
Last
up
of Us
something
2
after this,
is a bad game?
I don't.
No, I do think
haven't
it's
played it.
overrated though.
I haven't played it, so I don't have a decent
You said the same thing
opinion
about
on it.
Last of Us 1.
I just don't like The Last of Us. It's not. It's just like Animal Crossing. Just doesn't vibe with me. I don't like it.
That's fair.
I thought this Uncharted series was way better.
Fair enough.
I want to bring up something else though. Something like a little more lighthearted. The best mobile games category. It's Among Us, Call of Duty Mobile, which our boy Alex here has experience with, Genshin
have.
Impact, Legends of Runeterra, and Pokemon Cafe Mix.
Among Us came out.
All I'm gonna say
2
about
years
those
ago.
selections. Oh, sorry.
Not on mobile. Pretty sure.
Yeah, no, it's new to mobile. That's why I
Yeah.
relaunched. And
All I'm gonna say about those selections is like, why are you playing Call of Duty anywhere else besides mobile right now? Like,
It's
I'm
free.
serious. Like, fuck,
It's
man.
free.
Like, if you're not playing custom zombies,
I heard-
like
I
that's
heard-
the only other reason you'd be playing
What
Call of
about
Duty
the-
right now,
what about
reasonably,
the
or
new Call
Warzone,
of
I
Duty?
guess.
I
What
heard.
is the
I
new
heard.
Call of Duty.
I
I'm
heard
not
Cold
kidding.
War.
Like, it's
Cold War was
like, it's
breaking the
fucking good.
Xboxes. I heard.
Are you
Cold War-
talking about Call of Duty 17, Black Ops 5, Cold War?
Yeah, Cold War
Yeah.
was breaking Xboxes.
That is legitimately the 17th Call of Duty game, the 5th Black
Wait.
Ops game.
17? What?
It's Call of Duty 17. That is the
Why is
17th
it
Call of Duty game.
17 games.
it's like, when's this shit
It
gonna
is
get
the
old?
17th. It is the
It's
17th.
already old, but they're still coming out with shit.
When I heard that
Like, it
phrase,
sells. It
I
sells,
went-
man.
I
Everyone
was just like,
especially in high schools right now, man. If you don't own a Call of Duty in a high school, you are
You're a
dumb.
loser.
you're
Dumb.
anti-gamer.
No, seriously. Like as a high school teacher, like everybody plays Call of Duty.
Yep.
Everybody.
I mean, I
Um,
got it. I was in high school. I mean, the last Call of Duty I like really enjoyed was freaking Black Ops. The first Black Ops.
Black
dude.
Ops 2 was hype.
For a
Transit-
while,
Yeah, Black
feel
Ops
like-
2 is the last one I played. Like honestly.
I feel like a lot of like people like us are like, how the fuck is Call of Duty even still a thing? But then like
Yeah.
we kind of realize like as we meet more
High
people or
school.
like we talk to more people, like, oh my god, these people are playing Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Like,
Some
it's just not
duty
our
on
thing,
mobile.
but there's man, people eat that shit up. Like
Yep.
holy crap.
And that's like
so,
that's a whole other podcast. Talk about like, the social dichotomy of America and like Call of Duty. But like that's
I will
Honestly.
That's a fucking
will
term
defend
report.
Call
What
of
the
Duty
fuck you
Mobile to
mean
an
a
extent.
podcast?
hey, man.
The sociology of average gamers in America
No, I'm-
playing
I'm-
Call of Duty.
No, I did. Well, no, I'll touch on it for a second. But you know how it's really like how America is very like military esque and like that's just pushed a lot.
God damn,
You
give me
know.
my guns, please.
I'm
fair.
totally serious. I'm
That's
totally
All right,
serious.
hold on, hold on.
No, that's fair.
Before we go there, why are you
Warcell.
going to defend Call of Duty Mobile, Alex?
It's
I'm
a
gonna
fun
defend it
game.
to an
It's a fun
extent.
game.
Because I here's the real reason I've talked a lot of shit about one my phone runs it really well. I have like it looks really good. The control scheme is better than anything else. But more importantly is that it has pay to win aspects. I've never paid for anything in that game. More importantly though, you can just play the straight up Call of Duty that you've wanted from the beginning in that. Like you want to play fucking deathmatch on Nuketown or whatever, Black Ops 2 or Black Ops 1 map, like it's there. It's all yours. Go for it.
I was gonna say
And
it's
sometimes
practically
you
Black.
want that. Sometimes you want that. Like
It's practically Black Ops 1 on the phone. Like,
Yeah.
and
that's why I defend it because it's like the most like straightforward Call of Duty. You ain't got to pay for shit, dude.
plus,
Like,
it's
you
really
don't.
impressive how it looks too. It's very
It looks
impressive.
good. Like especially on my phone, I have the S20 Plus, 120 hertz refresh rate at like 2K. Like it looks freaking great.
Yeah,
and the
it's-
control scheme like is better than any other FPS on the phone that you have never played.
Did anyone play Genshin Impact?
Nope.
I did not. I heard so much about it though.
I've seen a lot of people play it, but I
looks
honestly probably am not going
It's
to.
Breath of the
Well,
Wild
well,
anime edition. That's
It's
what I've-
waifus of the wild.
Yeah.
Breath of the waifu.
Yeah.
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 I mean,
Honestly.
I don't know.
All right,
Yeah.
so let's
Let's
go
get back on
Yeah,
topic.
let's go back.
Yeah.
Among Us wins mobile.
And let's go back. Okay, so what? So we went over Last of Us. What else?
Yeah,
so
cover
we
Last
have
of Us.
we have Hades and Ghost of Tsushima, right? That's
So I feel like we really haven't covered Hades much.
Yeah.
So I
I-
want to go back
I
to
have
a
a lot of
comment that
experience.
Jacob said that Jacob said, oh, I was watching Kyle play Ghost of Tsushima, and he got really involved, and he was really immersed. But then he said, I wanna play Hades. And the whole point of a game is not to watch; it's supposed to play, right? And
Yeah,
it's the same thing with me. I could watch Ghost of Tsushima. It's very Assassin's Creed-esque, right? And I've played the shit out of Assassin's Creed. I haven't played a game like Hades, so why would I play Ghost of Tsushima when there's an amazing indie game that's completely different than Ghost of Tsushima and play Hades?
Let me brush off my super giant games.
I think
real quick.
personally,
Different
I'm
types of
gonna
games.
start it right now. Hades deserves Game of the Year.
I actually am inclined to agree. Just over the factors we have talked about, longevity and whatnot. Hades is a game that's meant to be played endlessly.
Yeah,
Legitimately, that's
It's
its
a roguelike, yeah.
whole thing. If anybody's played any other Supergiant games, talking about like Bastion, Transistor, any of those games, they have such a unique style, an art style that I don't think any other company does. If you've played Hades, you know its style is kind of like Disney's Hercules. Like if you check out like the flames and stuff, they have like that green like
I
I
was
don't know,
getting
it's
that
like the
vibe,
Hades
yeah.
flame. It's so good. The voice acting is stellar. The story is extremely compelling. The characters are so lovable. And the freaking combat, man, it keeps getting better.
Addicting.
I still haven't gotten to every aspect of it because when you beat it enough times, you unlock a thing called heat contracts, which is like self-imposed challenges, like timers you can put on levels to escape out of a certain area. Enemies get like extra health or armor and all that stuff. There's just so much in there that the more you play it, the more you love it. And a lot of games can't do that. A lot of games, it's the more I play it, the more I get sick of it. But that is not the case with Hades. That's one of those games you can play endlessly.
I think that's part of like the roguelike genre, though, is that it offers a replayability that no other single player game can.
Mhm.
You know, like simply because every time you go through, it's going to be different, like guaranteed.
is
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima on? Is it just a PlayStation?
Just PlayStation.
Yeah.
What's Hades on?
PC, I believe it's also on Xbox, I think.
Someone
I
look
think
that up.
you're right.
Almost positive.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's
so
take a
that's-
gander.
Yeah, so that makes it also another thing too. Is like, yeah, Ghost of Tsushima is just a Sony exclusive. Like,
Yeah.
you
That
know.
doesn't. That no.
Yeah,
That does
that
not.
doesn't bring it
Yeah,
down.
that doesn't like because you got to think Breath of the Wild, God
Halo.
of War, Halo.
Animal
Yeah,
Crossing,
like you have to have those reasons
know,
to
I
buy
get
this
it.
certain console. So
So I don't know. I honestly still want to talk about Final Fantasy VII later, but we're on this topic now. I have a lot to say about it, but I don't think we covered it properly.
That's right. We
But
can go back over it.
Ghost of Tsushima though, I want to like give it a little boost here against Hades. Now, Ghost of Tsushima didn't do anything groundbreaking. Like nothing new. It doesn't revolutionize gaming. It doesn't. I mean, I'm going to be honest. But it does so many things like so fantastic and meshes together so many different things from gaming that it's almost like very, very close to a just love letter to gaming.
I think it's the perfect samurai game
Yeah. I mean, the only
in my
thing
head.
is the stealth could have been a little bit better, but I still
Yeah,
had lots of fun.
The stealth is
lots of
buggy.
fun.
I'm not gonna lie.
But that,
Yeah.
if the stealth is buggy and like, isn't it? If it's a samurai, are they like in Japanese culture? Are they known to be like sneaky?
So no, they're not.
No.
No,
So
okay.
the point,
The whole
the
point is like
point-
duality.
the
Yeah.
point of Ghost of Tsushima was that the samurai shall not be stealthy, right? Like the samurai, and this isn't actually super realistic, but it's part of the game, right? It's like your uncle, Lord Shimura, is like, you will not dishonor the way of the samurai. But Jen,
Yeah.
the main character, realizes if I don't become more stealthy, if I don't become an assassin, my people are going to be overtaken by the Mongols. And, spoiler alert, he gets banished because he's so stealthy and because he becomes the ghost.
Okay,
That's why they
hold
call
on.
him the Ghost of
If-
Tsushima.
So if you're telling me that the main this is not a mechanic of the game that's buggy and it's almost integral to the
Okay.
story, and you're
Well,
telling me
the
that's
problem.
buggy, that's a
That's the
huge
problem.
problem. That's a big
know.
problem. That
Um,
what?
But it also makes it kind of like, again, that goes into the whole like thing of like it makes it more of an immersive game because he's learning, and as it like
But no,
it's
if
buggy, like it's
but
it's
no,
not
that's
perfect.
not excusable. That's not excusable for the game to
I
be
agree.
faulting and not the player, right? That shouldn't be the player's fault right. It's like,
No,
oh, I was
now-
doing this correctly. Why is it the game? The game should
Not-
do that way more perfect and like
Not
have a
all
better
aspects
system.
of it are buggy.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah, no, I
it's
was
a
just
small
giving,
thing.
Okay, I just can you explain what is buggy?
Yeah.
The
Good
detection.
instance. Detection, absolutely. Another dumb thing is like if you're on top of a like a box or a wagon, straight up the computers will be like, "Where are you?" Like you'll be on top of a wagon and the guys will be like, "Ah!" and like, "Ah!" and then run the other way. So it's like, "Oh,
The
okay,
infinite
I'm safe up here."
Well, that's like Skyrim kind of too, where it's
Yeah,
like you
or like
can
if you
hide
jump
like
off a building, sometimes like the animation, like at the end of it, will be kind of weird, or like you won't land exactly where you need to. And I do agree that's a bit inexcusable in the grand scheme of things.
The problem
Um,
is I think it's like it's a third person stealth game, and it's like the stealth is about as good as Assassin's Creed games. Because Assassin's Creed doesn't have that good of stealth, to be honest, either.
Well, especially not the newer ones where you play a literal
Yeah.
Viking.
Right.
Stealth!
Which is
Like, come on,
strange.
dude.
But wait, what like third person game does have good stealth?
Metal Gear Solid.
Okay.
The master class of
Solid
stealth
5,
in gaming.
Sure.
That is stealth done perfectly, in my opinion.
But lots of games have bad stealth. Like
Oh, I
stealth
agree.
is really hard to do.
You just,
Yeah.
it sucks to see that, I think the thematically, if we're talking about like historically thematically, ninja is you become like a ninja essentially, from a samurai. We're developed a little bit after samurai were historically. And that's when they started experiencing, because like black powder got introduced when the Mongols came along and like started really, really using black powder to conquer. And that's how you start taking some of their tools and implementing it into yours. And becoming like this Ronin mix between, blurring the line between samurai and ninja, which I think the themes of duality, and like the love for one's country are excellent, perfectly done. And it does a unique thing that not many games do. I think Breath of the Wild maybe does it, is it makes the nature a character.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
living and breathing all around you. I have never enjoyed just walking through a forest so much in any game ever. If you're going through like the Golden Leaf Forest and shit, man, that hits so differently.
Like the
Like,
exploration is perfect.
Yep.
It's great.
It's non-intrusive too, which is great.
I think what it also brings to the table, just as like a side note, I could say, like it's not obviously not historically accurate, but it's historically relevant, and there's a lot of real historical figures in there. And what the Mongols did specifically in this game is not, may not be real, may not be,
Wait, is this is
may not be
Japanese, right?
ex-
It is Japanese.
It's Japanese. Oh, okay, the characters that are made for it, like Shimura and the Khan and stuff, aren't real historical figures.
Okay, I just want
what
to make
they
sure
did in
I
general,
Yeah.
in the game, the Mongols, what they did is very historically accurate.
Yes,
And
yes.
I
The
think,
tactics
like,
they use in game are almost
the
like spot
emotions
on.
that you feel because of plot points in the game, I feel like were very real things. That
get me backed up on this, but like I know like the China and Mongols relationship during like all that time, but like what is the relationship between the Mongols and the Japanese?
Mongols want to conquer everything. Doesn't matter what you are.
Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
but like what is, because there's the Great Wall of
Historically?
China and everything. What was the relationship with the Japanese? That's what
I believe they attempted to invade Japan, but I don't believe it worked out for them.
I think there was.
Let's see.
I believe if I'm right, history-wise, they tried to go over by boat, and then there
There we
was
go.
the whole huge windstorm, and that was the kamikaze.
There we go. Yeah. So the Mongols' invasion of Japan, which took place in 1274 and 1281, were major military efforts undertaken by Kublai Khan to conquer the Japanese archipelago. Let's see. What happened to them, though? It's a real question. Yes, actually, they devastated Japan for a good amount of time.
I was about to say, like,
And the only thing that saved Japan was actually a monsoon that came through before they were almost completely conquered.
Yep.
And it saved their very last bastion and pushed the Mongols out.
Okay, that's
So
really
you could say
interesting.
it's actually very interesting that it
Hey.
was actually nature that was responsible for saving Japan in that case.
so here's my thing though, is like Ghost of Tsushima, if the stealth was better, would be like so close to a perfect game.
I
But
agree.
it doesn't do anything new. So does a game that doesn't do anything new deserve Game of the Award?
Yes.
Game of the year.
I think it could still be valid.
My opinion for this is that I think the game needs to be relatively almost perfect by people, and two, it needs to do something that changes the gaming realm for a certain time. Right, that is my two things, and we'll use like the previous like examples. So Breath of the Wild changed open world game. It really changed.
Absolutely.
And like
absolutely.
in relating Ghost of Tsushima, the Breath of the Wild, where nature is a character, Kyle, that was perfect. That was a great representation because there's so many things that like with the music, especially in Breath of the Wild, where you go to a different setting, the music changes and the weather changes and everything is just it's just complementing each other. We go to God of War. That game single player was huge because it was God of War was already like this beat 'em up game that was already like established and had 4 games in its series, and then they did a total revamp where the story was kick-ass. It's a different setting. There's some great acting.
The kid is Ellie.
Yeah, there's a lot of memeable ones.
Father, no.
Yeah, what was and then Sekiro was a Souls type game, but there was so much more that with the universe. Again, and like Alex can take it away with this since he's our Souls master.
Dude, like imagine a Souls-like game, but like with the Z axis instead of just X,
honestly, yeah.
Like literally, like you don't understand like how much shit can be added by just giving a jump button.
Yeah,
like, like it's insane. Like they brought a certain verticality to a Souls-like combat base. I see why people call it a Souls-like game. I'm not gonna inherently say it's like super brain into the Souls, because the one thing I don't like about like games that come out that have similar combat systems to Souls like is that people keep relating it to Dark Souls when I really feel like they should have their own respectable standalone,
excuse me,
like interpretation, like but still like
it's from software.
It was extremely refreshing in that sense. Yeah.
Well, I think it stirred the crowds, bro. I think it's such a missed market is that people love their samurai games. People love samurai games, dude.
So that leads me to my point of
and also that game's hard.
Yeah, that's true. That leads me to my point.
That game's hard.
This leads me to my point that like if we take a look, so 2013 was GTA 5 open world game. 2014 was Dragon Age Inquisition open world.
Yes, yes and no.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, they tried to.
It's like semi-open world. It bottlenecks you in a couple areas.
Okay.
Sure.
2015 was Witcher 3.
Yeah.
Open world as fuck. 2017 open world, God of War open world.
The gaming industry has a super hard on for open world, which is dumb because I was just playing Yakuza 7 or Yakuza Like a Dragon on my stream last night as we're recording this, and that game isn't open world, but it's like this small little district, and there's so much detail and so much content packed in these little streets.
Yakuza's always been really good at that.
Yeah, so even though it's not open world that's massive, it manages to be much more entertaining than
it's how you fill the world.
Because it's not just this giant open world with stupid like quests here and there that aren't really that interesting. It's like everything is filled to the brim. Like every step there's something interesting going on. So it's not a huge open world. It's very contained. But I want to move on to kind of what David was saying earlier. Is I am looking at all like these game awards from like all over everything, all the way back to 1998, and back in the day, the game of the year had to be something that like really changed things. So I'm looking at like the British Academy Game Awards, right? 1998, GoldenEye 007, very revolutionary. 1999, Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, that's all right game.
Or like let's look at 2004, Half-Life 2.
Yeah.
Like these revolutionary games. 2007, BioShock. 2008, Mario Galaxy. 2011, Portal 2.
So I think in the modern age, that line of thinking for Game Awards doesn't hold up anymore. I think the perfect comparison, as I just saw, is like people are thinking about getting the new 4K versus 1080p, like monitors and TVs, right? Can you legitimately, from looking at a video, tell me the difference between those kind of videos? You can't. Unless you're directly in front of it, you can't.
Sally can't, but Joe can.
It was so much easier to make a stride in gaming back when gaming technology was younger. Because there was more things to be impressed about.
those games are a testament to how gaming has evolved.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like those titles are huge, and partly because they brought up on new mechanics and new things that like were off the charts good. Like
Yeah.
now,
Thing,
like
though-
we see all those things all the time. Like we're looking for something that like we're looking for things that we're looking for that we wouldn't be looking for in the past. Like sometimes we're not looking for formula breaking things. We're looking for people who know how to stick to the formula and know how to upgrade it and know how to, bring people in,
I think is lame, but
Well, yeah,
Uh,
but like, how much more can we do with gaming? I mean, the next step is like Jumanji style, where they delve you into the game legitimately.
And that's
the
where
game
changing
always-
changing
Next
things
is
doesn't always
augmented
have to
reality.
changing things
Yeah,
doesn't
seriously.
always have to be like this like a revolutionized like mechanic. It doesn't have to be like that. It has to be something that impacts the gaming like world, right? Or society, or how we play this game. Like Overwatch, I think did deserve the game of the year in 2016. Because that brought a lot of people into gaming, right? That were like that loved this universe, and it was a lot of hype around it. So that's why I think that sticks out to me. Because and then in 2016 there was not a lot of good games. That was a bad year for games.
Kind of a dead deer.
So-
Yeah.
Dead deer, a female
Okay,
deer.
But that kind of thinking is also why I think we're sleeping on Doom Eternal too much. You know what I mean? Like
it
it
can't
really
win.
is
It
like,
can't win. It can't win. It's
dude,
pretty
I
much
don't know.
between-
I really think we're sleeping on it too much.
No,
man. Like,
I
in
think
terms
so
of-
too.
I want you to think like
I think so too. I think it's a great game, but like you have to.
I don't think
like,
it deserves to win.
objectively, it's gonna be either Hades or Ghost of Tsushima. I think a lot of people have.
yes, objectively, I think Hades got it. I think Hades or Ghost has it. That's fine. But like
Okay.
like in terms of like what we're talking about and like what that immersion factor,
Yeah.
that everything, like they're on the top of the board for audio design right now. They're tied for the top of the board for musical score, which I know everyone's like jerking off to Final Fantasy VII Remake, but in terms of and I'm not going to devalue Square Enix's music writing capabilities, but like in terms of an original score, right, and not a remake score, like holy shit, dude, like, and then like
I will
things
say
like audio design you don't think about for immersion. Like you good audio design is unnoticeable to an extent, but at the same time, like those as I'm gonna quote Nikki Jakey, when it hits those G spots, of things that you hear, like that's all of them. It's direct immersion. Like that is things that put you into the game that you cannot forget.
Yeah,
And
and
without that, the game's shit. That's it. That's the end of it. Like
yeah,
Yeah,
and
so-
all the big streamers who played Doom Eternal also said that, like, Markiplier, when he was playing it, was literally saying like, "Oh, dude, the best thing about this is the score. Like the gameplay, I'm enjoying the gameplay, but like the score is like where it's at, man." Like,
I think the score is it up for best score.
it
I
is.
believe-
So it does add something different than an orchestral Hollywood,
Right.
movie type.
The
And
people
so
that
I'll
were
give it
making
that,
the
yeah.
game
all the music
knew,
majors
the people that
going
were
off.
making the game knew that they knew that the Doom formula it's kind of old, but they were able to keep it and maintain the character of the game series
And that's
while
what I was
bringing in
saying.
new
Yeah.
flavors
Yeah,
of
exactly.
things that to make it so much more appealing, so much more playable and fun for everyone. And in terms of like getting the raw emotion of what you're trying to get from the game out to the players of the game, like takes a cake for me.
Yeah, I
Alright,
can
so this
understand that.
This is just kind of interesting. This is kind of just a bridge, but I don't want to go too much into this. It's just kind of really interesting. I wanted to bring it up. I was looking at all these different game awards, like all the winners across like the beginning, and like there's just so many strange choices. Like 2015, I want to say without a doubt is Witcher 3, but a lot of places chose Fallout 4. Or like here's a really odd one. 2012, a Game Awards thing, the official Japan Game Awards chose JoJo's Bizarre Adventure All-Star Battle for 2012 Best Game of the Year.
Hey, now that's a winner. That's a
Finally,
winner.
some good fucking
Are you-
food.
Why aren't we moving to Japan? What are we
This is
doing?
Just some
Weaves
odd
with beards.
odd
It's
choices.
because the
right?
U.S. is region locked, dude. We can't get
Odd
we can't
choices.
we
They're
can't get
like,
those games of the year awards a year.
Some things chose Outer Worlds for 2019. Like there's all these different things, and so many people consider different things for
how
Game
I
of the
see it is
Year.
that the Game Awards, like the official Game Awards, are the Oscars, and I think that I do believe that the gaming industry needs something like that, where we need something like this is the Oscars for us, and I
pick
truly
one.
do. Yeah, I think,
At
and
least we
there
get
can be
to
so many
vote.
other. Yeah,
At least we
exactly.
can vote.
Exactly.
Oscars are just like, hey, you rich people vote on which you
Bunch
think
of
is the best
rich
person.
white
Yeah.
people. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
and now a bunch of white people will vote for the video game awards.
With
I
beards.
did have a thought earlier, that we
Hate
were
you.
talked about games doing something new, and I don't think it needs to do something new. It needs to do whatever it's doing really well. I think in this day and age, we talk about. Well, we talk about the point of in the modern day and age of gaming, a lot's already been done. More has been covered than ever, like ever. The games and genres have been absolutely stomped into the dirt with repetition, with copies of other
We
games.
just haven't seen it yet. We just haven't. It hasn't been invented yet. The
But you
newest
can't tell me
innovation.
we haven't been in kind of a drought, because as we said, like these last couple, like the games like Ocarina of Time and stuff like that were super revolutionary for gaming, because gaming was young and technology was way younger, as far as like what had been done. And this in 2020, you really got to do something extremely well to stand out.
Movies still to this day are revolutionary, like every year.
I
Like,
will have to say the
Film's a
Mandalorian.
different medium.
The
Film is a different
Mandalorian
medium.
has like I don't watch the show, but I've seen some of the technology that they make the atmosphere more better than other like TV shows, and it is crazy. And I think that is the kind of like advanced in technology that video games should take. There should be something more
storytelling
like
in films is completely different from storytelling in video games.
Oh yeah,
I
of
know,
course.
but just like gaming hasn't been around for that long. Like we can still innovate. We can still
I'm
revolutionize.
not saying we can't. I'm just saying it's
the
becoming a
gaming
lot tougher.
industry is being extremely money grubby and extremely unoriginal and just doing whatever sells doesn't mean that indie games can't innovate, like we've seen with Hades. I actually want to say Hades is probably the most innovative game.
Yeah, I agree. The next step in technology. This is me with the right actual person, right? MP4 file, and you're gonna literally tell them where to walk. It's gonna be so many they're gonna be in so many different spots, and you're actually gonna control. That is my Don't cover your eyes, Sean. This is actually gonna happen. Tell me that this is
serious
not the next
gaming
step.
moment.
Not the next step where you actually could.
Yeah, can we put him in another chat? Can we?
Please don't.
All right. I think it's interesting how for the nominations for best action, so the raw, juicy combat that we all love, Ghost of Tsushima is not on there.
Well,
Doom
okay,
Eternal and Hades
that comes with the nature being a character, and it's more thematically about the world changing around you than it is about slicing and dicing the Mongol man. That's
what
not
is
what it's
what
about.
is the name? What is the main what's it called genre of Ghost of Tsushima? What would you call
Action adventure?
Yeah, action adventure, absolutely.
If it's
Perfect
not
action adventure game.
Is there adventure category?
There's a best action and then a best action adventure.
They're different. They're different.
They are different.
They are different, but
different.
like Hades is an action game. Ghost of
Fallen-
Tsushima is action adventure.
what?
Fallen Order's on here. I thought Fallen.
Yeah.
shit.
Oh yeah.
On action adventure, yeah. That Fallen Order is an action adventure game.
Good one at that.
I've only played a bit of that, but I really enjoy it. Actually, it's really fun.
It's fun.
Is it game of the year material though?
No, definitely not.
So why don't we
right.
let's start wrapping up.
Hold on. Before we do that, I need to say what I wanted to say about Final Fantasy VII.
Here
Because
we
I've
go.
been holding it in for like an hour now at this point.
Let it bust, Sean.
Yep. So,
Yep.
no, Final Fantasy VII Remake. So, the reason why it's so controversial is because it's a part 1. And I don't know how I feel about the changes they made because we haven't seen where it goes. And it's like they're so controversial, they're so crazy, and like big spoiler because we've already spoiled, lots of things. At the end, like it kind of gives the vibe that things are going to be different. Like there's the ghost things that represent destiny in the game, and at the end of the game you kill them. And throughout the game they've been like interacting with things and making sure that the game stays close to the original story. Like these destiny ghost things that Nomura put in the game
dumb.
are no,
So
hold on.
dumb.
They're meta as hell. Like they're basically, I heard this in an interview, they basically represent the fans getting angry that the game's being changed. And so every time the game tries to change, the ghosts come in and stop it. and at the end, you kill the ghosts. You kill the ghosts at the end. That's the ending of the game.
You don't
And
listen
it
to the
shows-
fans. You don't listen to them.
Well, here's the thing, though. It's like it gives the game, the series, room to breathe. It can like do whatever it wants. It's stepped out of the remake zone and into its own game, and we see that at the end when we see that Zack is still alive. Like the game is going to be different now. It's not going to follow the original story,
But
and
isn't-
so it's like
I don't think that's what that is.
Yeah, isn't the
it
whole
definitely
point?
is. Why is Zack still alive? Why is
I think
Jesse
that's
still alive?
okay. They
Why
had
is-
already flashed back earlier in the game to like, oh, Cloud survive or them surviving it. I think Zack's just gonna die after he drops Cloud off, because that's what happens in the original game. Is like Zack dies right after that fight, after walking away from the battlefield.
right, but why is why is Big still alive? Why is what the other guy's name?
Like
It's
I said,
Jesse
honestly,
Big
I
and-
think they're poor writing choices.
To be completely honest,
What are you talking
hold
about?
on, to be completely honest, I actually kind of have to agree with Sean on this because it's not Resident Evil 2. Was that remastered or was that remake? Like, what was the
Which
name?
one? Are you talking about remake?
Yeah, was it a remake
Yeah,
or
Resident
was it a
Evil 2 remake.
remastered?
No, it's a remake.
So
Well, it's a remaster, but it's like a completely different kind of game.
that's what I'm saying. And to go
Yeah.
with Sean's point, this is Final Fantasy VII remake, right? So this is this could be a completely different story.
I mean,
That's
the
why
game
it's
is
remake.
the game is already retconning deaths, like at the end of the game, and it's like after the ghosts have been killed, and it's like I don't think that if the ghosts aren't that, then the writing is god awful. But I do not think that they would spend hours and hours upon this whole concept for it just to be completely nothing. Like that would be against all terms of writing. If they had this entire thing take up so many hours and for
I
it not
have-
to be worth anything, you
I
serious?
have one excellent example: Kingdom Hearts Goddamn 3, directed by the same lead
Sure.
writer of this game. A game that is over 30 hours that you would think, there's no way they could butcher this. It's Kingdom Hearts. It's Disney, baby. But Nomura takes a piece of shit and smears it all over the script,
Okay,
dude.
Kingdom Hearts 3 is
I-
god awful. I agree.
Yes,
I agree.
but it's the same lead
God,
writer, and that is why I am so concerned.
But
I
what?
am so concerned.
That's why I'm saying I don't know how to feel about it yet because I don't know how it's going to end. I don't know how the series is going to end.
I don't have a problem with it being
My
in parts.
feet could go up.
That is not what I have an issue with. I have an issue with the writer being is a man who seems like he's on cocaine
Hold
100% of the time.
Hold on. I think there's potential here. I really do.
There could be,
Editor,
but I
editor's
have no
corner weighing
goodwill with the guy
100
writing it. I have zero
Let's
goodwill
just
with the
take
guy
an
writing it.
example from the game. Barrett, right? There's a part where Sephiroth just comes in and stabs
Okay,
Barrett
okay.
and kills him in the remake. And then the ghosts come and save him because it's not the correct thing. We kill the ghosts.
Okay,
The characters that should have been dead are now
Sean,
alive.
do you think this game should be Game of the Year?
No.
Hold on. All I'm saying, hold on. If part 2 and part 3 end up being really great, we're gonna look at part 1 as like an amazing game. And like if we hadn't chosen it as Game of the Year now, we might have in the future.
Gosh, Cloud, I didn't expect you to show up in Kingdom Hearts 4.5, the remastering.
That's not
No,
gonna happen.
No, I hate Nomura. I hate Nomura so much.
But
Okay,
the
if Mickey Mouse
remastering.
shows up in part 2 of Final Fantasy VII, my argument's out the fucking
Bro,
window.
I'm looking back
No.
at this podcast and I am making you watch it for 24
If
hours. on
Donald
repeat.
Duck comes in and fucking is like, Cloud.
I have nothing but hope for it. I love Final Fantasy VII and I love the remake for its combat aspects. But I am
Combat's
so worried
great.
when you put a man named Nomura who destroyed Kingdom Hearts 3 single-handedly at the helm of it. You
Alright.
played Kingdom Hearts 3. You've seen the absolute dumpster fire that game
Yeah,
is.
that game's ass.
We've got
I
to
even played
find our
Kingdom
hearts inside, Sora.
Dude, that
What?
game was like Fallout 76, dude. I just needed to stop playing it, or
Yeah.
I was gonna have
Yeah.
like an aneurysm.
All right,
Literally,
all right.
dude, you didn't see
I-
Sora singing
alright.
"Let It Go"?
What?
Oh,
something that
dude, you're missing
I
out.
think something I think is relevant to us a little more. Best debut game, Phasmophobia made the list.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that.
Which I thought is cool.
Oh, dude.
That is a one dev game that has been like
Deserves credit,
it's good.
no doubt.
Yeah, that man
I-
deserves mad credit.
I don't like
It ain't Game of the Year.
Phasmophobia. I don't like
It ain't game of the year.
Hell no, it's not game of the year. But
Hold
in
on,
terms
bro.
of best debut game, like hell yeah.
I agree. It hits off. That's for sure.
Phasmophobia is my game of the year.
Well, you can make a
Okay,
nomination.
all right, hold on. Let's wrap things up. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's start with Alex. Alex, what out of the list? What is your game of the year? And then what is your game of the year without the list? If you didn't have to choose, like if there's another game. So objectively, what is
I think objectively Hades takes it probably. Just too many good aspects. They overwhelm everything so much. Like it's got everything that everyone wants to play right now. Honestly, it's got the replayability. It's single player, and it's a roguelike, and it's combat, and it's Greek gods.
Yep.
Everyone loves that shit.
It's got a K-pop stand as its main character, so girls love it.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's pretty obvious that I'm going to say my personal is Doom Eternal, but I haven't even played. I have not played either game that much, to be honest. It's just me listening to the soundtrack over and over again, watching gameplay videos.
You can
playing
choose
a little bit.
You can choose a game that you have played. Like it can be like it doesn't have to be on the list, right? So like if Among Us is your game of the year, then you can have
good
that.
old Among Us.
I think it is Among Us.
And of course, we'll do this we'll have a different opinion in the 2021 review, but this is just for now. This is just a.
Yeah. I'm gonna open my Steam and then come back to my personal one. Go ahead.
Fair enough.
I'll go.
I was just gonna go in order. I was gonna
Okay.
Yeah. So for me, it's Hades. I haven't heard anything bad about Hades. I honestly, the developers.
There really isn't.
The developers,
crazy.
I haven't heard anything bad about any of their games.
Super Giant Games, dude.
Yeah,
seriously, they hit the mark every time.
There's only a few companies left where they haven't gone to total shit.
Yeah.
Right. So like with Bethesda, they've gone to shit. Naughty Dog, you can say they've gone to shit with Last of Us. Insomniac is a really good a developer. Like there's so many like game companies that have gone down in reputation. So I think Hades takes it. I think Ghost of Tsushima will probably win, but I personally think Hades deserves it more. Now for the game of the year, for me personally,
Among Us.
I don't think it's not Among Us. Honestly, like it's really I played a lot of games this year. Valorant, I find it very interesting. Valorant is not on it. I think that's very interesting. Because that was a big game when it came out. It was a huge deal.
Seriously?
I think it's up for
No, it's
best
not
esport game.
Yeah, it's not my game of the year, but I'm just it's kind of like the same idea that Overwatch had, but I don't know. I don't know. So if I had to choose my game of the year, it would be Killing Floor 2. I think
that's fair. You played shit out of it.
Yeah,
so.
and kind of like Animal Crossing, it was a game that like distracted me. So Killing Floor 2 right now has the cake. And I think in the
that killing cake
when we did our podcast when we were in person, I think I said Animal Crossing. I'm not sure, or Valorant. I think I said one of those, but right now it's KF2.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. So
right.
any game, because that game came out in 2016.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why
yeah. What would you nominate?
But what would you nominate?
Well, like you said, you picked your game that you like, so you picked Killing Floor 2.
Yeah, but I wouldn't nominate that for Game of the Year. I wouldn't.
I mean, that's how I think it is. Like a game I think deserves to be on there.
The game that came out 4 years ago was the best game of 2020.
Yeah, no,
it could be, dude.
I mean, Among Us, but I'm just saying that's my game of the year. Because I don't want to use the years because
I nominate Ocarina of Time.
Sure, go ahead.
Sure.
No.
It's my personal opinion of like my game.
That's
of the
my
year
opinion.
Without any game awards. Without any game awards attached to it.
That's just like your opinion, man.
All right,
Jake.
What you got?
So, I mean, the only one out of this list I've actually played is Animal Crossing, and I've just watched the rest of them. But like as I said earlier, I think Hades has it. I think everyone's on that same route. I haven't seen or heard anything bad about it. Even right now, we kind of said, "Oh yeah, Hades is great," and then we moved on. Like that's just kind of how this chat has been the entire time. Now, I'm gonna say my game of the year, and everyone's surprised. So, surprise here! No, it's actually Star Wars Squadrons. Squadrons was and it's actually nominated for Best VR AR. I think it's a really, really good game. And it's again for not just for the Star Wars fan in me that like the story of it and the single player, but I feel like this is EA actually taking a turn and saying, "Oh, this is what our players want, and we're actually doing good things with our games." I mean, hell, they did a really great job with Fallen Order, and they also did Squadrons, which is also a really good,
I have a question
multiplayer
for you,
game.
Jake. I have a question.
Yeah.
So from seeing your streams and everything, do you think that you are enjoying Squadrons more, or do you think you're enjoying Battlefront 2 more?
I do Battlefront 2 for streams, and I really do love that game as well.
It was fun.
I don't really play Squadrons on streams a lot because that's a me thing. I play that game
Sure.
a lot more off stream. I
Okay.
think Battlefront 2 is a really good streaming, and I do love that game. Don't get me wrong. If it's like, honestly, it's like that for me. But like Squadrons, just with it being new this year, it was cheaper than Battlefront 2, and it's just a really good game. And it is kind of revolutionary in a sense because, like, all piloting games have you at least in third person sometimes. This is strictly first person. You're in the cockpit. You don't have another option to do outside the cockpit or anything. I think it's a really, really good game. And I think it really, for me, it's my game of the year, personally.
Oh yeah. All right.
I've decided my game of the year.
Ooh, let's
Actually,
flash back to you real quick.
Yeah.
What's your game?
So it's actually so I'm thinking about games that I've played this year that I have played and have yet to have a bad time with. I mean, it's kind of a weird criteria, but like it
Yeah,
just means
that's
that like I get way more longevity, more replayability out of it.
Yeah.
And so to that I give it to a duck game. No, I'm kidding.
I mean,
I feel like I know what you're gonna say.
eight player duck game,
fine.
duck game.
No, I'm actually gonna give it to. This is completely out of left field. I'm gonna give it to Vermintide 2.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say Noida.
Noida, no, I love Noida. That being said, it's a honestly, I should put it up there with it just because I think it's a wonderful first player experience. But I can, in terms of having fun with your friends, which I think is a big point of this year, especially since everyone's at home. I think that's probably the biggest point here. And like every time I play Vermintide 2, like I just have a fun ass time. It's Warhammer, which
When did that come out?
Warhammer, which I like the lore of. They're still coming out with shit for it.
When did Vermintide 2 come out?
I don't know,
2018 or
honestly.
2017, I
Okay.
believe.
Yeah, it's an older game, but like
Yeah.
it's still releasing stuff for it.
It's the same thing with me and Killing Floor 2. It's basically it's like
Yeah, 2018.
All my friends play it, so it's fun as shit.
Yep,
Like,
exactly.
it's a really good time.
Exactly.
So it's been the highlight. Like when I think of like the gaming highlights of the year of like where I've had the most fun, that game comes up a lot.
Yep.
All right. Well, just shaving out Ghost of Tsushima. I'm gonna pick Hades. I know, not really anything different here. But I've played probably the most out of anyone here. I fucking love the game, dude. It's just like, the characters, the writing, the gameplay, the aesthetic, the soundtrack, everything on it hits. And I think there's an amazing point you guys made earlier. It's hard to find something bad about it. If you can just go, Hades is great, and that's all you have to say about it, there's probably a reason why you're saying that. As far as my nominated game goes, it's a game I really haven't played, but I've done a lot of research on, like a lot. Is Yakuza 7, Like a Dragon. Now hear me out. Hear me out.
I just
Traditionally-
nominated for best role playing. Right now.
Yep.
I gotta let my dog.
Traditionally, Yakuza games are just beat 'em up, like adventure games, and this is it's a turn-based like combat system, which is a crazy turn for a 7th game in a series. And I think it's the perfect successor, and it's gonna project Yakuza up into the future like crazily.
Watch me play it on stream.
Like being able to change well, first of all, protagonist, and second of all, the whole style of gameplay, like the 7th game into a series. Actually, it's the 8th if you consider Ishin. But it's technically the 8th game in the series, and they're changing the gameplay completely, as well as the main character. And I think that's pretty unheard of, and being received as well as it has been. It's not your turn.
Wrong.
Do you have the talking stick?
I think that there's very few series that can do that. The reception for it's been absolutely bonkers, dude. People love Yakuza 7. It's got great voice acting. I think the best thing about it is it's got heart, which is the Yakuza series is known for. And I think during a time when COVID and all that's going around, I think we need a game with a little heart, and I think Yakuza 7 is that game. So, that's my spiel, Sean. I know you're gonna pick Fallout 76.
Kyle here. Yes, Fallout 76 is my game of the year. It's amazing. I played it. and I wanted to shit my brains out. I
Exactly
wanted to take a hammer and break my fucking computer. I loved it so much. I never wanted to play another video game again because my life was so complete. Fallout 76, amazing.
Yeah.
Just yes.
76 out of 10.
Uh, Pure perfection of game design. All the bugs that you get, they just make you laugh out loud, and they make you question your entire existence. Uh, it's just fantastic. Make sure to give Todd Howard all your money because he deserves it.
Such an
Because
honest guy.
he
He's an
fucks
honest
you in
guy.
the
He's
ass.
great.
Like Fallout 76, it's basically Bethesda fucking you in the ass, and
I'm
it's
into that shit.
I mean, yeah, right. Who doesn't love that? Being lied to, especially, is just amazing.
Or almost killing some of
love
their crowd with
Oh
their
my
poison linen
I
bags.
cannot recommend a game more than Fallout 76. If you like being fucked in the ass.
All right, this has been Guys with Beards.
All
I'm
right,
Jake.
hold on. Okay.
All
Fuck
right,
that
this is
game.
the
All
Guys
right,
with Beards.
hold on. Let me get down to business here.
All
So,
right.
off of the official, like, from the Game Awards, since we've been going off that so far, game of the year is Ghost of Tsushima for me.
That's fair.
Like I said, like, it's Hades did do more inventive stuff, but I just think Ghost of Tsushima is such like a perfect game and how it just connects the story with the gameplay. And the stealth could be a bit better, but it's just so close to perfection, like everything other. And the exploration is so fantastic. The music's so fantastic. The characters are so fantastic. The voice acting is good in Japanese and English. I listened to both.
Mhm.
It's just a very good game. Um, it's so good. I really like the choice in the end too. But we've talked about enough about Ghost of Tsushima. So my personal game of the year, I'm actually going to pick a game that came out this year, Phasmophobia. And I'm glad someone brought it up because it almost jumped over me for a second, and I'm going to explain why. It's basically until recently it was made by one person.
Yep.
Like this
Yep.
this game is so fantastic. And why am I picking it? It's because it's the most innovative game I have played without a doubt. It does things that like games have never done before. It goes to territories that games have never done well before. And it's all just one person. And the game isn't actually out yet. It's still just like an early release. And as the game gets more money and gets a better budget, it's just going to increase and increase, and it's going to be something truly special that the gaming world has never seen. So,
I agree with that. Like,
I mean, like it's such a unique game.
I can
And-
agree with that. I just don't like the game. I think it's
I mean, that's like me with Animal Crossing, and
It
I
feels-
respect that.
it feels clunky. Feels it's just
it
not
feels
scary.
like the Unity
it's,
engine.
It's not scary. I like being scared in games.
You played it once, right?
No, I've played it a couple times.
Don't get me
Okay.
wrong, like as someone who didn't even play horror games like at all, like when I started playing it, it was pretty spooky, but like it definitely gets old really quick, especially when you have a crew that like just knows what they're doing so well that like you kind of just turn into ghost paparazzi.
Yeah, and
kind of go
like,
in there, you get the job done and leave. But
versus-
like
Hold on though.
versus
I
a
was
game
like
that-
that.
it's
Vers- go ahead.
I was
it
like
kind of
that.
brings a level of shenanigans and like teamwork and like just sort of multiplayer fun that like it's really hard to get out of other games. I feel like.
Hold on, Kyle. Do you remember the it was like one of the last times I played with you
Was it on high
when
school?
when we were playing in the high school, and like just every second, like the ghosts would just attack us.
I'm about to say,
I
you
was
guys
shitting
played it
my
a little
pants.
earlier on. They've actually changed the AI a little bit.
Yeah, the AI is
Um,
better now.
Caleb, Sean, and I were all playing. I think we got attacked. It was close to 20 times. Like 20 times. Like
I-
legitimately. Every 2 steps we went, lights went out. Like it was scary as hell. And they're consistently working on making the game better as far as more maps are already coming out, 3 more are coming out. AI has been changed. They're adding more ghost types. So I think initial
Game's
impressions
getting
of it
less
are
clunky too, with
weaker
like
than what
each
it is
week.
now.
That's what's like great about it. Like when you think that you can't get scared by the game anymore because you've seen all that you can see, like there were moments that still like really catch you. Like
Yeah.
like when like I'm sitting there like on my way out and trying to get a picture of the ghost, and everyone's already leaving like the house or the high school or whatever, and like all the doors slam, shut.
And you're the only
Lights
one
are
in
off,
there.
and my flashlight's the only thing blinking, and like all I hear over the radio is Alex still in there? And then you just hear the voice, of the ghost, doing that,
Yeah.
Good
and
impersonation.
you really fucking lose it, and you're like, I need to hide in the corner and piss my pants right now.
Yeah.
Like, you're just hoping that you can walk fast enough because you walk slow as shit.
Yeah, I'll
You
have.
turn your flashlight off. You hope you can get into the next room and like hide behind the door or something, and you don't just like
The
all
game's
of a sudden
really
see these
scary
arms just like.
The thing
when
is,
you're
Yeah.
alone. When you're alone, like when you're alone and you're checking out rooms and stuff, and you just like go into the bathroom, you hear like the sink water turn on, and you're like, what the hell's going on? And then you just like open the stall, and there's this scary ass fucking ghost just like staring at you. You're like,
Yeah.
like,
I feel like you
game
played
is
a lot with
scary.
people. Like playing it by yourself is a completely different
well,
story.
yeah, that's
It's
any
so
horror
scary.
game. That's any
Yeah.
horror, right?
Um,
Look, one game I want to relate it to, and we should probably wrap up.
yeah.
Yeah.
The thing I'll give it another shot, but like the one thing, like I didn't really like the speed of the game. I think it is really slow. If realistically, if I saw a fucking ghost, I'm gonna book that shit out of there. I'm gonna fucking run. But in this game, you're like, oh no, oh please, no.
I understand why that
No.
is
Early
a great.
release though.
Yeah.
It's early release.
But I'm gonna bring a counterpoint. So like we played another game called Pacify, which is somewhat similar to this sense, like how it looks and how
Fun, a lot of
how
fun.
it plays. And you can run a lot faster in that game, and it makes it a lot less interesting. It really does. Like
I agree.
being able to legitimately run away from the ghost is like boring.
Yeah, it feels like a Scooby-Doo chase instead of like a scary experience.
And
Yeah,
Phasmophobia is very tactical too. It's like very slow paced and tactical. It relies so much upon communicating with your team. It's such an amazing team game. Like so much teamwork involved.
Well, and you can see that it's a landmark kind of game because immediately as soon as that came out, you had games like In Silence and Pacify that came out
Right.
Yeah.
What do you guys
that
think
used
of
the
In
same
Silence?
mechanics of, like listening to
Well,
you.
We
the
should.
game is just on an upward trend, and I don't think it's going to stop for a hot
How do you
minute.
guys feel about In Silence though?
It's the same. It's the same type of
I
game.
really
I think
enjoy it.
Phasmophobia does it better, in my opinion. But
Yeah, I think Phasmophobia is
Phasmophobia
way
is
better.
But I think In Silence is like I think it emphasizes a certain mechanic, and that is the sound mechanic that like no other don't at me, but no other horror game I've played has done it that well.
Yeah.
For some,
Sound
like,
is
where
definitely good in it.
actually like being quiet is like it's super important. Like
It's
you
good.
can't like
I prefer Phasmophobia if I had to choose between the two.
yeah, I would agree.
All
Do
right.
you have any other final thoughts in general?
I think
I've
we
covered
hit.
it.
I think we all agreed Duck Game's the best game this year.
Fallout 76.
It's been the best game since it's been invented. So yeah, even before it was invented. So fact.
Nope. But yeah, this is the guys with beards.
Don't
Doing our
forget to vote
thing.
for your game of the year choice, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We may do something about it in our Discord too for fun. So
Yeah, I
join
don't
our
see why
Discord if you haven't.
I'll put our
play
names right here.
a ton this year. Tell us how much you enjoyed Fallout 76.
Make sure to subscribe if you guys haven't. Like, not everybody that watches our stuff subscribes, and it's sometimes hard to remember, especially for me. But it really helps us out and lets us know that you enjoy our content.
We like having you around.
And go check out our Twitches, all of our Twitches.
We'll put the link in the description for
Yeah,
those.
Alex's Death Trap.
No, he doesn't stream. He doesn't stream yet.
Honestly, I don't know why. Look at Jesus. Did he? Oh, I thought the screen froze.
He froze too. Oh shit, he froze again.
No, he didn't.
Oh,
No, he
God.
didn't. No, he didn't.
All right, guys.
All right.
All right. Well,
It's been fun.
Everybody
Everybody have a great time.
have a good one. See you next time. Oh.
Yeah, there's my thumbs up. Yeah.
Ugh.